The national leader of the Ku Klux Klan is called either a Grand Wizard or an Imperial Wizard, depending on which KKK organization is being described. Overview. First KKK. The first Klan was founded in Pulaski, Tennessee, on December 24, 1865, by 6 former officers of the Confederate Army, Frank McCord, Richard Reed, John Lester, John Kennedy, J. Calvin Jones, and James Crow. It started as a fraternal social club inspired at least in part by the then largely defunct Sons of Malta. It borrowed parts of the initiation ceremony from that group, with the same purpose: ludicrous initiations, the baffling of public curiosity, and the amusement for members were the only objects of the Klan, according to Albert Stevens in 1907. The Manual of Rituals was printed by Laps D. McCord of Pulaski. The Klan also culturally appropriated the Spanish capirote hood. According to the Cyclopedia of Fraternities, beginning in April 1867, there was a gradual transformation. The members had conjured up a veritable Frankenstein. They had played with an engine of power and mystery, though organized on entirely innocent lines, and found themselves overcome by a belief that something must lie behind it all, that there was, after all, a serious purpose, a work for the Klan to do. Although there was little organizational structure above the local level, similar groups rose across the South and adopted the same name and methods. Klan groups spread throughout the South as an insurgent movement promoting resistance and white supremacy during the Reconstruction era. For example, Confederate veteran John W. Morton founded a chapter in Nashville, Tennessee. As a secret vigilante group, the Klan targeted freedmen and their allies. It sought to restore white supremacy by threats and violence, including murder. They targeted white Northern leaders, Southern sympathizers, and politically active blacks. In 1870 and 1871, the federal government passed the Enforcement Acts, which were intended to prosecute and suppress Klan crimes. The first Klan had mixed results in terms of achieving its objectives. It seriously weakened the black political leadership through its use of assassinations and threats of violence, and it drove some people out of politics. On the other hand, it caused a sharp backlash, with passage of federal laws that historian Eric Foner says were a success in terms of restoring order, reinvigorating the morale of Southern Republicans, and enabling blacks to exercise their rights as citizens. Historian George C. Rabel argues that the Klan was a political failure and therefore was discarded by the Democratic Party leaders of the South. He says, "The Klan declined in strength in part because of internal weaknesses, its lack of central organization and the failure of its leaders to control criminal elements and sadists. More fundamentally, it declined because it failed to achieve its central objective, the overthrow of Republican state governments in the South." After the Klan was suppressed, similar insurgent paramilitary groups arose that were explicitly directed at suppressing Republican voting and turning Republicans out of office: the White League, which started in Louisiana in 1874, and the Red Shirts, which started in Mississippi and developed chapters in the Carolinas. For instance, the Red Shirts are credited with helping elect Wade Hampton as governor in South Carolina. They were described as acting as the military arm of the Democratic Party and are attributed with helping white Democrats regain control of state legislatures throughout the South. Second KKK. In 1915, the Second Klan was founded atop Stone Mountain, Georgia, by William Joseph Simmons. While Simmons relied on documents from the original Klan and memories of some surviving elders, the revived Klan was based significantly on the wildly popular film The Birth of a Nation. The earlier Klan had not worn the white costumes and had not burned crosses. These aspects were introduced in the book on which the film was based. When the film was shown in Atlanta in December of that year, Simmons and his new Klansmen paraded to the theater in robes and pointed hoods, many on robed horses just like in the film. These mass parades became another hallmark of the new Klan that had not existed in the original Reconstruction-era organization. Beginning in 1921, it adopted a modern business system of using full-time, paid recruiters, and it appealed to new members as a fraternal organization, of which many examples were flourishing at the time. The national headquarters made its profit through a monopoly on costume sales, while the organizers were paid through initiation fees. It grew rapidly nationwide at a time of prosperity. Reflecting the social tensions pitting urban versus rural America, it spread to every state and was prominent in many cities. The Second KKK preached 100% Americanism and demanded the purification of politics, calling for strict morality and better enforcement of prohibition. Its official rhetoric focused on the threat of the Catholic Church, using anti-Catholicism and nativism. Its appeal was directed exclusively toward white Protestants. It opposed Jews, black people, Catholics, and newly arriving Southern and Eastern European immigrants such as Italians, Russians, and Lithuanians, many of whom were Jewish or Catholic. Some local groups threatened violence against rum runners and those they deemed notorious sinners. The violent episodes generally took place in the South. The Red Knights were a militant group organized in opposition to the Klan and responded violently to Klan provocations on several occasions. The Second Klan was a formal fraternal organization, with a national and state structure. During the resurgence of the Second Klan in the 1920s, its publicity was handled by the Southern Publicity Association. Within the first 6 months of the association's national recruitment campaign, Klan membership had increased by 85,000. At its peak in the mid-1920s, the organization's membership ranged from 3 to 8 million members. In 1923, Simmons was ousted as leader of the KKK by Hiram Wesley Evans. From September 1923 there were 2 Ku Klux Klan organizations, the one founded by Simmons and led by Evans with its strength primarily in the southern United States, and a breakaway group led by Grand Dragon D.C. Stevenson based in Indiana with its membership primarily in the Midwestern United States. Internal divisions, criminal behavior by leaders, especially Stevenson's conviction for the abduction, rape, and murder of Madge Oberholtzer, and external opposition brought about a collapse in the membership of both groups. The main group's membership had dropped to about 30,000 by 1930. It finally faded away in the 1940s. Klan organizers also operated in Canada, especially in Saskatchewan in 1926–1928, where Klansmen denounced immigrants from Eastern Europe as a threat to Canada's Anglo-Saxon heritage. Third KKK. The Ku Klux Klan name was used by numerous independent local groups opposing the civil rights movement and desegregation, especially in the 1950s and 1960s. During this period, they often forged alliances with Southern police departments, as in Birmingham, Alabama, or with governors' offices, as with George Wallace of Alabama. Several members of Klan groups were convicted of murder in the deaths of civil rights workers in Mississippi in 1964 and of children in the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham in 1963. The United States government still considers the Klan to be a subversive terrorist organization. In April 1997, FBI agents arrested 4 members of the True Knights of the Ku Klux Klan in Dallas for conspiracy to commit robbery and for conspiring to blow up a natural gas processing plant. In 1999, the City Council of Charleston, South Carolina, passed a resolution declaring the Klan a terrorist organization. In 2004, a professor at the University of Louisville began a campaign to have the Klan declared a terrorist organization in order to ban it from campus. The existence of modern Klan groups has been in a state of consistent decline due to a variety of factors, from the American public's negative distaste of the group's image, platform, and history, infiltration and prosecution by law enforcement, civil lawsuit forfeitures, and the radical right-wing's perception of the Klan as outdated and unfashionable. The Southern Poverty Law Center reported that just between 2016 and 2019 the number of Klan groups in America dropped from 130 to just 51. A 2016 report by the Anti-Defamation League claims an estimate of just over 30 active Klan groups existing in the United States. Estimates of total collective membership range from about 3,000 to 8,000. In addition to its active membership, the Klan has an unknown number of associates and supporters. History. Origin of the name. The name was probably formed by combining the Greek kyklos with clan. The word had previously been used for other fraternal organizations in the South such as Kyoklos Adelphon. First Klan, 1865–1871. Creation and naming. Activities. Resistance. End of the First Klan. Second Klan, 1915–1944. Refounding in 1915. The birth of a nation/I. None. Goals. Organization. Perceived moral threats. Rapid growth. Prohibition. Urbanization. Costumes and the Burning Cross. Women. Political role. Resistance and decline. Labor and anti-unionism. Development of Christian identity theology. National changes. In 1939, after experiencing several years of decline due to the Great Depression, the Imperial Wizard Hiram Wesley Evans sold the national organization to James A. Colescott, an Indiana veterinary physician, and Samuel Green, an Atlanta obstetrician. They could not revive the Klan's declining membership. In 1944, the Internal Revenue Service filed a lien for $685,000 in back taxes against the Klan, and Colescott dissolved the organization that year. Local Klan groups closed down over the following years. After World War II, the folklorist and author Stetson Kennedy infiltrated the Klan. He provided internal data to media and law enforcement agencies. He also provided secret code words to the writers of the Superman radio program, resulting in episodes in which Superman took on the KKK. Kennedy stripped away the Klan's mystique and trivialized its rituals and code words, which may have contributed to the decline in Klan recruiting and membership. In the 1950s, Kennedy wrote a best-selling book about his experiences, which further damaged the Klan. Historiography of the Second Klan. Anti-modern interpretations. New social history interpretations. Indiana and Alabama. Later Klans, 1950s present. In 1944, the second KKK was disbanded by Imperial Wizard James A. Colescott after the IRS levied a large tax liability against the organization. In 1946, Samuel Green re-established the KKK at a ceremony on Stone Mountain. His group primarily operated in Georgia. Green was succeeded by Samuel Roper as Imperial Wizard in 1949, and Roper was succeeded by Eldon Edwards in 1950. Based in Atlanta, Edwards worked to rebuild the organization by uniting the different factions of the KKK from other parts of the United States, but the strength of the organization was short-lived and the group fractured as it competed with other Klan organizations. In 1959, Roy Davis was elected to follow Edwards as national leader. Edwards had previously appointed Davis Grand Dragon of Texas in an effort to unite their two Klan organizations. Davis was already leading the original Knights of the Ku Klux Klan in Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Davis held rallies in Florida and other southern states during 1961 and 1962 recruiting members. Davis had been a close associate of William J. Simmons and been active in the KKK since it first reformed in 1915. Congress launched an investigation into the KKK in the early 1964, following the assassination of John F. Kennedy in Dallas. Davis, based in Dallas, resigned as Imperial Wizard of the original Knights shortly after the original Knights received a congressional subpoena. The original Knights became increasingly fractured in the immediate aftermath as many members were forced to testify before Congress. The White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan formed in 1964 after splitting from the original Knights. According to an FBI report published in May 1965, the KKK was divided into 14 different organizations at the time with a total membership of approximately 9,000. The FBI reported that Roy Davis's original Knights was the largest faction and had about 1,500 members. Robert Shelton of Alabama was leading a faction of 400 to 600 members. Congressional investigators found that by the end of 1965 most members of Original Knights organization joined Shelton's United Klans and the Original Knights of the KKK disbanded. Shelton's United Klan continued to absorb members from the competing factions and remained the largest Klan group unto the 1970s, peaking with an estimated 30,000 members and another 250,000 non-member supporters during the late 1960s. 1950s–1960s, post-war opposition to civil rights. Resistance. 1970s present. Massacre of Communist Workers' Party protesters. Jerry Thompson infiltration. Chattanooga, Tennessee, shooting. Michael Donald lynching. Neo-Nazi alliances and storm front. Current developments. Current Klan organizations. Outside the United States. Aside from the Ku Klux Klan in Canada, there have been various attempts to organize KKK chapters outside the United States in places in Asia, Europe, and Oceania, although most of them ultimately came to naught. Africa. In South Africa, during apartheid, there were attempts, in the 1960s, to establish a branch at Rhodes University, with the help of Terry Venables. Some far-right activists took some of the lore such as by writing Ku Klux Klan Africa on the ANC Cape Town offices or wearing their dresses. In the 1970s, Rhodesia had a Ku Klux Klan, led by Len Idensone, attacking Ian Smith for his relative moderation. America. In Mexico, the KKK endorsed and funded the Calles government during the 1920s Cristero War with the intention of destroying Catholicism there. On 1924 vigilantes claimed to have organized themselves into a clan against criminals, publishing a program of social epuration. In Sao Paulo, Brazil, the website of a group called Imperial Clans of Brazil was shut down in 2003. And the group's leader was arrested. The clan has also been established in the Canal Zone. Klan was present in Cuba, under the name of Ku Klux Klan Cubano, directed against both West Indian migrant workers and Afro-Cuban and using the fear of the 1912 Negro Rebellion. Asia. During the Vietnam War, klaverns were established on some U.S. military bases, often tolerated by military authorities. In the 1920s, the Klan briefly existed in Shanghai, Europe. Recruitment activity has also been reported in the United Kingdom. In the 1960s, klaverns were established in the Midlands. The following decade saw visits by leading Klansmen, and the 1990s saw recruitment drives in London, Scotland, and the Midlands and huge internal turmoil and splintering. For example, a leader, Alan Bishola, had to resign after 1972 conviction for child sex abuse was revealed. On 2018, Klan-clad far-right activists marched in front of a Northern Irish mosque. In Germany, a KKK-related group, Ritter des Fourigen Cruises, was established in 1925 by returning naturalized German-born U.S. citizens in Berlin who managed to gather around 300 persons of middle-class occupations such as merchants and clerks. It soon saw the original founders being removed by internal conflicts, and mocking newspapers about the affair. After the Nazis took over Germany, the group disbanded and its members joined the Nazis. On 1991, Dennis Mahone, then of Oklahoma's White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, reportedly helped to organize Klan groups. Another German KKK-related group, the European White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, has organized, and it gained notoriety in 2012 when the German media reported that 2 police officers who held membership in the organization would be allowed to keep their jobs. In 2019, the German authorities conducted raids against a possibly dangerous group called National Socialist Knights of the Ku Klux Klan Deutschland. In the 1920s, the clone was rumored to exist in Lithuania and Czechoslovakia. Oceania. In Australia in the late 1990s, former One Nation member Peter Coleman established branches throughout the country, and circa 2012 the KKK has attempted to infiltrate other political parties such as Australia First. A Ku Klux Klan group was established in Fiji in 1874 by white American and British settlers wanting to enact white supremacy, although its operations were quickly put to an end by the British who, although not officially yet established as the major authority of Fiji, had played a leading role in establishing a new constitutional monarchy, the Kingdom of Fiji, that was being threatened by the activities of the Fijian clan, which owned fortresses and artillery. By March, it had become the British Subjects Mutual Protection Society, which included Francis Herbert Duffy. In the 1920s, the clan had been rumoured to exist in New Zealand. Titles and vocabulary. Membership in the clan is secret. Like many fraternal organizations, the clan has signs that members can use to recognize one another. In conversation, a member may use the acronym AYAK to surreptitiously identify themselves to another potential member. The response Akia completes the greeting. Throughout its varied history, the clan has coined many words beginning with KL, including Clay B. Treasurers, Clavern Local Organization, Imperial Kleagle Recruiter, Klek Token Initiation Fee, Klagrap Secretary, Klonvocation Gathering, Chloron Ritual Book, Chloro Delegate, Imperial Klud Chaplain. All of the above terminology was created by William Joseph Simmons, as part of his 1915 revival of the clan. The Reconstruction-era clan used different titles. The only titles to carry over were Wizard for the overall leader of the clan and Nighthawk for the official in charge of security. The Imperial Klud was the chaplain of the Imperial Klonvocation, and he performed such other duties as may be required by the Imperial Wizard. The Imperial Caliph was the second highest position after the Imperial Wizard. Symbols. The Ku Klux Klan has utilized a variety of symbols over its history. Blood drop cross. The primary symbol used by the clan for the past century has been the mystic insignia of a clansman, commonly known as the blood drop cross, a white cross on a red disc with what appears to be a blood drop in the middle. It was first used in the early 1900s, with the symbol in the center originally appearing as a red and white yin-yang, which in the subsequent years, lost the white part and was reinterpreted as a blood drop. Triangular clan symbol. The triangular Ku Klux Klan symbol is made of what looks like a triangle inside a triangle, similar to a Sierpinski triangle, but in fact represents 3-letter KS interlocked and facing inward, referencing the name of the group. A variation on this symbol has the KS facing outwards instead of inwards. It is an old clan symbol that has also been resurrected in the modern-day hate symbol. Burning cross. Although predating the clan, in modern times the symbol of the burning cross has become almost solely associated with the Ku Klux Klan and has become one of the most potent hate symbols in the United States. Burning crosses didn't become associated with the Klan until Thomas Dixon's The Klansman, and its film adaptation, D.W. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation, inspired members of the Second Klan to take up the practice. In the modern day, the symbol of the burning cross is so associated with racial intimidation that it is used by many non-Klan racist elements and has spread to locations outside the United States. See also: References, Notes, Citations, Bibliography.